Welcome to another edition of the Dublin Coffman Marching Band Network. I am with Boyds Search, a 1990 grad of Dublin High School. He was a percussionist here at our high school, and he went on to OSU, where he studied political science and economics. How are you doing, Boyd?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Boyd lives now in Georgia, where he is the CEO of the Georgia Society of CPAs. And I am excited to reconnect with an old drummer friend of mine, but at the same time, let our students and our band family see the journey that Boyd has been on. Boyd, like me, lived in Dublin, Ohio for a little bit as a young parent before moving off with his wife and family to Georgia. So I'm excited to talk to you about your journey. First, Boyd, can you kind of talk us through when you graduated from Dublin Coffman High School? You went on to OSU. Can you just talk about your degree program and what you went through at Ohio State?
Well, I really, like a lot, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew I had in the family, there were a lot of attorneys. And I knew I really liked, from my time particularly at Dublin, because as you know, I went there just for the tail end of my junior year and then my senior year, which was your junior year. Really fell in love with government and politics. Carl Reed was the teacher and coach that really oriented me towards that stuff. So political science just seemed like a natural fit, but I also felt like I needed something underlying that. So as my dad called me at the time, I chose to be a career student and studied political science and economics, and quite honestly stumbled my way through that. And stumbled my way into going back to school to get another undergrad degree in accounting. And there's a long story to that I won't bore you with today unless you really want me to. But point is, I just kept moving forward, even though I didn't exactly know what I was doing or where I was going.
So when you eventually got the degree, and you, I know there's a couple other degrees that you also have received.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, an accounting degree, and then you also have your MBA. Where along your journey did those come? Did you go to school right away to receive those degrees as well?
Yeah, so I graduated from Ohio State with political science and economics, and pretty much doubled right back to go get the accounting degree. I only had I forget how many hours it was, but it wasn't a lot of hours to actually wind up being able to get that. And then worked full time while I did that second degree, if you will. And started my career at the Ohio Society. And it was after I was there for a few years that Clark Price was my former boss and mentor. He's retired now, but he's still a dear friend and a true mentor to me. And he helped through the organization fund my graduate school. So I went to graduate school while working full time, and we had our first kid and all that stuff. So there's a little bit of a gap there.
Now, you are not a CPA, or are you a CPA?
I am not.
You are not a CPA, but
I'm a public policy and legislative guy.
So to talk to us about this, this is really intriguing. What goes into being the CEO of the Georgia Society of CPAs?
So there are a few different fronts, and I usually qualify this by telling you people that you're the one that asked. So I'm sorry I'm about to bore you, but you asked. So we're an association that represents certified public accountants, just like you are. I don't know if there's a band directors association or something like that, but I would suspect there is. And so individual members join, and you don't have to be in Georgia to be a member. We have members in 48 states and something like 19 countries around the world. We do a whole bunch of things, some quasi-regulatory stuff on behalf of the state when it comes to protecting the public trust and making sure CPAs are doing the work at, the quality and level they're supposed to, and protecting that public interest. We do a lot of continuing education. We do a lot of networking type stuff. But really, the thing that's the hardest to quantify from a business perspective, that's probably the most important thing we do, is our legislative and political activities. And so we have a incredibly robust and strong legislative arm, if you will, that lobbies mostly in Georgia, but we do some stuff in Washington as well. Most all of our money is spent in Georgia, where we promulgate things on behalf of the business community, obviously the CPA community. And it's funny because people think, oh, you're the reason that taxes are so hard. And that's not true. We've been around since 1903, and bedrock for us from the beginning actually has been tax simplification. So and there's just enormous amounts of tax legislation that happens every year, both locally, here in Georgia and nationally. And the amount of time we spend trying to make sure those things are less complex as opposed to more complex, it would be mind-boggling. But that's it in a nutshell, I guess.
So tell me, every day you come into work, and I've always known you to be an upbeat type of person. What do you enjoy most about your day-to-day job?
Some of this might sound cliche, but my favorite thing is the people that I work with, helping them discover their own talents and their own path. So when we have people that come and we hire, and if they move on in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years because they're now a better person, a better professional, those are the moments that are awesome. I don't like losing people, especially people I really like and respect, right? But watching people grow and helping or getting to be a part of that process, man, that's the good stuff. Everything else is, you have to do things right to generate revenue and to deliver value to your customers and those things. But helping people grow and just be better the next day than they were, in whatever way that is they want to be, right? That's the goal. That's what I love.
Well, I want to kind of take a little deep dive into something you kind of brought up, where you alluded to that you didn't have a clear career path throughout. Maybe it was your undergrad, possibly. But I would love to hear maybe you kind of talk about, so much we put pressure on ourselves, whether we're, young adults or even young professionals, about having everything figured out and becoming the CEO of the company or wherever our jobs lead us. Can you talk to us a little bit about your journey in regards to, how you were able to find your path?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of luck. But I think luck ultimately can come about because, and I said it earlier, because you just keep moving forward, even when you have a setback. As an example, when I was looking for a job, and there's a more complicated story to this, but when I got the job at the Ohio Society, I had actually transposed the last two numbers of my phone number on my resume. And this is before, this is in the mid-90s, and so this wasn't a thing. Email was sort of just becoming a thing, so the phone was the thing. And discovering that and then overcoming that error and still getting people to talk to me and actually getting a job, those are all just signs of just, keeping moving forward. And sorry about that. And I think we'll talk a little later about my biggest life lesson from that. But and just keep looking for the next opportunity. Life is a series of problems and often mistakes. And the sooner you figure out that you sort of get to choose your problems, the sooner you're going to be in a much better position to be happy, whatever happiness is to you. And I never quite understood what happiness was to me. I just knew that I kept trying to find the next thing, and if that wasn't it, then it was the next thing.
Well, now I want to talk about going back to your high school days here. And as you said, I can remember, I remember being in the band room when you walked in, and they introduced the new student. And so you came in your very end of your junior year, if I'm not mistaken. It was like kind of the spring, and then you spent your senior year here, of course. So you had a unique viewpoint of the Hudson band program where you were at, and then came to the Dublin Coffman band program. Just talking about band in general, what is it that you depend upon now, or you reflect back on as far as something that band taught you in your professional life right now?
That the grind is worth it. I mean, it's really that simple. Going back to Hudson, I never had like this innate talent. I never had really fast chops or anything. So anything I was able to do, I had to really work at it. And I know I didn't work at it as hard as I could have or even should have. But Wilson Murray was the director back in Hudson, and I wanted to play snare. And we were an Ohio State snare up under the arm, traditional grip, swing kind of band. And I desperately wanted to play snare. And the beginning of high school, he was like, Mr. Murray looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, no, not you're gonna not probably play that," because I couldn't play a 6-stroke roll. I didn't know what it was. Like a 6-stroke roll to me was just instead of right left right left right. And I decided, okay, well, I better learn some of these things, and I just kept trying, and I still wasn't that great, but I made the snare line. And Wilson Murray at the end of that fall season said to me, he's like, "I didn't think you could do it, and you did, and I'm really proud of you." And it taught me that I may not like where I'm at, I may not even enjoy the process, but it taught me about the pride in the process and the pride in the journey, not the outcome. I mean, I was okay, but just that being something different, becoming something different, becoming something better, that enjoying the grind, it really taught me that, and that it's worth it.
Well, now that you have years to reflect, if you were able to have a conversation with the freshman or sophomore in college Boyds search, and you just had a couple of minutes to maybe give that younger self some advice, what would you tell yourself about that period of life and where you've ended up?
Forgive yourself. Quit beating yourself up for mistakes that you think you made or that you actually made. Empathy and forgiveness is a huge thing in life, and I think fundamental to human connections and human relationships. But you have to have it for yourself first before you can really have it for other people, I think. And the sooner that you are willing to confront whether it's your practical reality or mistakes you've made. I'll go back to my resume mistake where I found out I'd transposed those numbers, and I just confronted it immediately, owned up to it, learned from it, and forgave myself, which gave me the ability to call people that I knew I'd embarrassed myself in front of. Because I chose to forgive myself for it rather than just deciding it was going to define me. And I didn't know that then. I didn't have a clear understanding of that then, but I do now. And I watch young people get really wound up or really lost in mistakes they've made at school or in their relationships, and sometimes mistakes that really are big, right? And you have to face it, and you have to forgive yourself, and you have to move on.
Well, Boyd, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's since you moved away, I don't know if we've actually been in the same room since then. And
I don't think we have. Do you still have my drum set?
The Coffman band uses your drum set every day. It is the best concert toms that we have, and it makes our percussion ensemble sound like $1 million. So yes, we do.
I love it.
I want to thank you for being a friend of ours, and knowing that students could reach out to you and ask you some questions, or even any member of our band family reach out to you. Thank you so much for spending some time and being a part of our band family.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me very much.